I never came into this thinking I could actually like change someone's life or change people's like feelings and moods, but having something installed in your home that's pretty and playful and fun, and even cheeky sometimes can really change your mood, can make you feel happier, can bring joy into your home.
On the mic with us today is Shay Nammari, founder of Goods by Shay, a luxury interior finishings company offering vibrant, playful, feminine fabrics and wallpaper print designs.
I think a big part of me was suppressed in the corporate world. And when I became my own boss or started my own business, I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And literally, that's all I did. And I think being so authentic is probably the reason for, I would say, my success, at least, my definition of success.
In our interview with Shay, she shares her journey of escaping the confines of the corporate world to start a business doing what she loves.
Because of my spirituality, I'm like, I know I'm going to mess up and I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I think after healing, I thought that there's power in bouncing back and brushing things off and not letting things get to you.
Whether you're happy in your chosen vocation or are looking for a bit of change in your life, you will find our chat about the art of printmaking with Shay inspiring and illuminating. I'm your host, Ina Korobkina, founder of Jewel Branding Studios and creator of the Business in Style fashion course for entrepreneurs. And
I'm Ingrid J. Monday, aka Ms. Monday, a photographer and filmmaker and the author of the book, The Secrets of Becoming a Boss Bitch with a Heart of Gold.
Welcome to another episode of the Rise Up and Fix It podcast.
Hello, Shay.
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show today. Ina and I are huge fans of your bold artwork, your wallpaper, your yoga mats, your fabric. It's all really, really cool stuff. I especially love your pinup prints, bright floral designs, gorgeous Roman style nude prints, those lip prints. Yes, really cool stuff there. And in a dream world, I would love to have my entire house decked out in your stuff.
God, I would love to do that too. Oh my God.
But we'll start with one room at a time. So I think I'm going to pop by your shop soon and pick up some wallpaper. But until then, we have you on your we have you on our podcast. Can you walk our listeners through, who you are and the journey of starting the Goods by Shay?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. Thank you both. I'm equally a fan of both of you and both of your work. So just wanted to say that first. Yeah, my name is Shay. I run a company called The Goods by Shay. And it's a home decor and interior finishes company. I design some prints and I turn these prints into premium interior finishes like wallpaper, beautiful velvet fabric and different types of fabrics. And I moved over into home decor. So now I make throws, cushions, artwork for your home. And to sum it up, that's basically what my company's all about. I did start out in the corporate world, like way back when, I don't know, like at least 10 years ago. That was my last time where I was in corporate. And then since then, I've transitioned into becoming kind of like my own boss, an entrepreneur, someone in business. And I didn't like the corporate world very much, and I don't even think the corporate world liked me. I'm not a very good employee. Even though I enjoyed what I did, I have way too much of an attitude. And I guess me and authority did not gel well together. Like I was always very opinionated. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be told what to do. So it had to end, and I knew it would, because deep down in my heart, I always knew I wanted to have my own business. And at one point, I just felt like I had enough, and I quit. I had no backup plan. And I just figured it out from there. Not having a backup plan helped in a way, because I didn't have a choice. And when you don't have a choice, you just have to make something work. And I did.
So you
Yeah,
left the
yeah, yeah.
corporate world. You're like, F this. I have this dream. I want to be an artist. I want to go in this direction. Let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
how did, like, you know?
Well, art has always been a part of my identity. Like my mom always jokes. She says she like birthed me while I was like drawing and painting. Like so it's always been in my DNA. I've always been very creative and artsy. But my career choices up until 10 years ago were not very creative. Even though I went to school for interior design, I didn't practice full on interior design for actually probably never. I started working with designers doing AutoCAD work, so drafting, so the boring stuff. I would make floor plans, some renderings here and there. So it wasn't very creative. And then from there, I transitioned into construction and I started working with general contractors as an estimator and a project coordinator for building out restaurants. So that was not very creative at all, but I learned so much in that job. So I wasn't very like my creativity was not very stimulated in those in those jobs. So I quit, and then when I quit, I took a trip to Morocco with my husband for our 10th year anniversary, and that's where all the inspiration happened. I had no plans of having my business at that point, but when we went there, I got so inspired by the rich history, the architecture, the color, all the artwork that's pretty much everywhere in every alleyway that you walk into there. There's art, there is just beautiful design and architecture. And I got super inspired and I came home and I started making my own tiles because I fell in love with all the tile work there in Morocco. And what started out as like a DIY project for me um, became my business, to make a very long story short. And then that's how the good tile came about. I started making tiles and then started making wallpaper after that.
So
If that makes
inspiring.
sense.
Oh, you have a very clear voice and a vision as the designer. Your prints are very cheeky. You create pillows with quotes such as "If I'm too much for you, go find something less." Where is this part of like your rebellious spirit that you're channeling through your art, basically?
Yeah, basically. I mean, since high school, I was an emo kid, right? So I was super emo. I was always been very rebellious. Yeah, didn't listen to my mom too much. So yeah, it's part of my identity and I carried it with me to adulthood. And it's reflective in my products, as you mentioned, like I like to be a little bit sassy with my stuff, even though sometimes I feel hesitant, like how would my audience receive this? Is it too much? Is it too sassy? But no, a lot of people actually appreciate it and like it. And whoever doesn't just unfollows and leaves me alone, and I'm good with that.
Well, I think we need a little more sass in this world because you didn't lose your sass. There's a lot of women or girls that grow up and they're like, people tell them you're too sassy and then they tame their sassiness, but deep down inside they're still sassy. So then they turn to someone like you to make their room very vibrant and remember their inner sass.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And being in corporate, you can't be so sassy. You kind of have to suppress that part of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I didn't appreciate. I think a big part of me was suppressed in the corporate world. And when I became my own boss or started my own business, I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And literally, that's all I did. And I think being so authentic is probably the reason for, I would say, my success, at least, my definition of success.
Mm-hmm. So I'm an artist and you are too, but as an artist, I understand the amount of energy that goes into making art. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about, you have the idea and then how long does it take? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I get inspired mostly if you look into my work, mostly women. I love women and I'm inspired by women and nature mostly. So I do have a notepad and I do have my Procreate on my iPad with me all the time. So whenever I do feel inspired, I try to sketch things out. I write notes. And that's how it starts. It all starts out as a sketch and then it kind of like just develops from there. And then I take it over to Photoshop. And that's when I sit down and zone out and just create and create the patterns and turn them into seamless patterns. It's not really so much a process. It's just it's become like a self-care ritual where I just sketch and get in my zone and feel good and focus on my what I'm inspired by, and just it becomes a seamless pattern after that.
Seems like it's a form of self-expression.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah.
if there are listeners out there who are listening and thinking, I've been on this corporate world for a while now and I'm kind of getting tired of it. They might have been building certain skill sets, but they're done building those skill sets. What would be your advice to them if they want to start their own business in the creative field?
Yeah.
What are the first couple of steps?
Honestly, don't quit your job. It's too risky, especially now. And if back then I would, if I knew what I know now, I probably wouldn't have quit my job and started a business. I would have kept it. So that's my advice. Keep your job and start it as a side hustle and watch how it goes. And if it grows enough, if you nurture it enough for it to keep growing, it should become a business. And make sure you are present on social media. Put out your work on social media, because that's how I got started. I was just taking stupid pictures of my DIY tiles and I was just posting them for fun on social media. But the feedback I was getting from people is what encouraged me to kind of take it to the next level and invest money and actual energy into making tiles and into that process. And then it became a business because of the reactions and the feedback I was getting on social media. Don't resist being on social media, because I know a lot of people are very hesitant on putting themselves out there, showing their work, especially in the beginning or the beginning stages. But don't. That's the best place to start, and to showcase all your work. So I say keep your job and just make sure you keep posting on social media and being on different platforms, not just one platform.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Getting yourself out there, keep putting yourself out there, right? So I'm curious. Can you tell us any extraordinary stories about clients, stressful clients, and how do you deal with them? And yeah, just any stories in general. Do you have any cool stories?
I have zero stressful clients, which is so, no one believes me. I'm like, I have never had a hard time with a client ever. I feel like people who are attracted to all of this, they're free spirited. And they're just like lighthearted, kind people. They're carefree typically, but no, I have never had a stressful client. Maybe I've made mistakes for clients before, for sure. Who hasn't made a mistake in their job? I have. But I also go out of my way to fix these mistakes and to make it up for the client. So there's never an issue or any residual feelings or anything. So that's what I have to say about difficult clients. I have none.
Yeah.
So we love to touch upon miracles and spirituality on our podcast. On your journey to building your business, did you experience any little miracles from the universe that told you to keep going, especially during the times when it felt really tough and you were facing a lot of impediments?
100%. Yeah. Every time I felt really low and I felt like, oh my God, I am not doing a good job, or you feel those moments where imposter syndrome comes on and you feel like you're not good enough, your work isn't good enough and all of that. Something amazing happens and I get an opportunity that just validates my work and encourages me to keep going, or even like a feedback from a client who bought something and I get like a long email, they're so thankful and grateful and telling me how happy this wallpaper or print made them. And I had no idea. I never came into this thinking I could actually like change someone's life or change people's like feelings and moods, but but having something installed in your home that's pretty and playful and fun, and even cheeky sometimes, can really change your mood, can make you feel happier, can bring joy into your home. And I get a lot of those emails. I do. I get a lot of validation that way from my clients, and it keeps me going. I always say, what keeps me going is the love and the support I get from the community and the clients.
That's so sweet. Yeah, they say our sense of sight is the most dominant out of all of our senses because the visual cortex takes up the largest segment of our brain. So it only makes sense that when we're surrounded by beautiful prints,
Yeah.
that it just lifts our spirit and makes us feel good. So I love that you offer that to the world.
Yeah. Who knew? Wallpaper can change people's lives. I don't know.
I've always thought that stepping out of your comfort zone is a great thing, right? So it's about taking the leap of faith and that things will work out, especially when you're pursuing your passions and your dreams. Can you share how you felt and what was going through your mind when you first started your business? Were you scared? And what was your, like, for who's your first client?
I was so scared. And you're gonna laugh. The first client was a super very rich woman who I messed up her order. That was my first client. Right off the bat, I messed up someone's order, and I'm like, I'm never doing this again. So that wasn't so fun, but I kind of knew going into this because of my spirituality. I'm like, I know I'm going to mess up and I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I think after healing, I thought that there's power in bouncing back, and brushing things off and not letting things get to you. And I knew that was just going to be, a little hurdle in the beginning and in this career. And I decided to move past it and just learn from it, as opposed to just let it color my vision. And I didn't quit because of it. I actually kept going. I dusted it off. I'm like, I messed up, whatever. It is what it is. I'm going to keep going and I'm just going to get better. So, I made sure to know moving forward that these mistakes that happen are just learning, curves. And I found a lot of strength in that mindset. And it actually kept me going too. I knew I'm going to make mistakes, and there was no point in resisting that, just embracing it and learning from those mistakes.
It sounds like you have a really nice, supportive accountability system. You've mentioned you have a business partner that's designing those beautiful robes. He's using your print designs, but is actually sewing them. Is that how it works? And then you've mentioned your husband has helped you out, builds up the new space. So it's a beautiful support system that you have. Can you share with us a little bit of how it all works and how you work together?
Having a support system is crucial when you're starting out, especially when you're starting a business, because you can't rely on yourself for support all the time. We sabotage ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
So you need that support to keep you going and to encourage you to keep going. So I do have, my husband is amazing. We've been married for so long. And he's been nothing but supportive, especially during the hardest times. And it helps that he's super handy and he builds everything. So his role has been like vital in my business and in the growth of my business, because he's built pretty much all my stores. I've had two studios before this space, and he's helped me build all of them. So really, without him, I wouldn't be here right now. So that's very important. And as for my business partner, he does the fashion side of things. He sews and makes these beautiful lounge wears and kimonos. And he's also very supportive. We're kind of in this journey together, separately, but together. So we do keep each other accountable. And we also encourage and support one another in any way we can. So I'm very lucky to have a very solid support system. Yeah.
Beautiful. You touched upon sabotage. What does sabotage look like as a printmaker, print designer? Can't even imagine what that would be.
I mean, I'm
or do you not want to share it?
I'm an overthinker, so that alone is a recipe for disaster. When you're an overthinker, you overthink everything and you assume the worst all the time. It's always worst case scenario, and it almost never happens. Almost the opposite always happens, and I do really well. So that's how I sabotage myself. I overthink. And I always think, and it's because of how I grew up, I think with my mom, she was a little bit tough. She was a little bit mean when we were kids, and I felt like I was never good enough as a kid, and I still carried that with me. I still don't think I'm good enough as an adult, and I feel like, oh my God, people are not going to like my work. They're not going to appreciate it. So that's how I sabotage myself. And it's funny because I always, um, everything I do, it turns out great. So I don't know why I still feel like I'm not good enough. It feels like it never goes away, this imposter syndrome, no matter how well you keep doing. So I do struggle with that a lot.
I think that's a normal thing for artists though, because you're creating from your heart. And then you're not just showing the world, you're actually selling it, right? So I think once you put a price tag attached to your art, it's like, oh my God, they're not gonna love it like as much as,
Mhm.
or maybe maybe I could have done it differently, or so I think that's a natural thing for art from artists. But I think that's why I think a lot of artists have agents, right? Because they do all the selling and you just do the art. But you're doing both, which is like wow, that's
Yeah.
empowering,
And I've
right?
told you
So
before, I'm not a natural salesperson, so I do struggle with selling my work. Luckily for me, like I said, it just my page, I'm very lucky. I don't know how it really happened, but it sells itself. And I just have a lot of people who enjoy what I do, and I'm very thankful. And I have a lot of referrals. So I'm able to keep going that way. I do have to put more effort and energy into advertising though and selling. So that's a skill I have to learn. And being a business owner, you're forced to learn these skills because no one's going to do it for you. I mean, you can hire people, but I've tried hiring help and it was more disappointing and more stressful than helpful. So you have to learn to do everything in your business and do it really well. And it's good because you said you get pushed out of your comfort zone. This is completely out of my comfort zone. I don't know how to sell anything.
but you're
Well,
but
But
you're
I'm getting
doing
better.
great.
yeah,
Thank
and you're
you.
so talented. I bet you get a lot of repeat clients or a lot of word of mouth, I imagine. Yeah.
It's the only way I'm able to survive this economy and believe it or not, grow. Like referrals are massive for me and repeat clients. Like I would say upwards to like 85% of my clients are repeat clients. So it's
That
insane. It
yeah,
I retain a lot of clients and I'm very grateful.
yeah, that just goes to show when you got a good product and you're really good at what you do, you're gonna have a successful, thriving business. What's next for you, Shay? What's on the docket?
Hmm.
Ooh. Good point. I don't, you know what? I just opened this store like a few months ago and I haven't thought about what's next because I'm already like burnt out and so consumed by it. But I'm always thinking of ways to grow and expand and maybe another location somewhere, but maybe in the States, in
Hmm.
a warmer state, perhaps. Because down there they like color
They
design.
sure do. Florida. Who are your dream clients that you would absolutely love to collaborate with?
Okay, so I've thought about this and I've been manifesting it for a while and I've tried to reach out to them. It's the production team on the new Sex and the City show. Um they so I have you seen the new Sex and the City show?
I
I
have
think they
not.
revived it. They brought it back.
I saw parts
Uh
of it. I've seen like some what's it called? Some social and some like stuff online talking about it and stuff like that.
yeah, and in their new season, they used a lot of wallpaper in their sets. And I thought, oh my God, I would love if they would use my wallpaper in their sets. So I did try to contact them. I tried to contact the lead designers, the set designers. And I mean, I'm talking to them. They haven't confirmed anything, but I think that would be a dream job for me, um, at least for now.
Awesome.
That's
Aw.
amazing. Well, we can't wait to see you expand to warm places and visit you there as well. And see your prints on Sex and the City and other shows. You're incredibly talented and you're bringing so much beauty to this world. And we were grateful to have you on our podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. It was an honor to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed our interview today, please share and like it.
And if you have a unique story on how you are creatively engaging with the world, we can help you share it in a multitude of different ways. We are experts in crafting stunning photos, videos, and compelling narratives. Our mission is to make you and your brand stand out.
Please visit our website, www.riseupandfixit.com, to learn more and to connect with us.